Good morning from Washington State. Thank you so much. My name is Liz Thorstensen. I'm Vice President of Trail Development at Rails to Trails Conservancy. It's my honor and pleasure to be here with you this morning. We're so excited to be here on the final stop of the Great American Rail Trail route reveal. We're celebrating Washington State's role as the western terminus. And while you can take the trail east to west or west to east, we took it east to west today as we followed the course of the railroad in unveiling the details of the Great American Rail Trail. I want to thank especially to our incredible co-hosting partners, Cascade Rail Foundation, the Palouse to Cascades Trail Coalition, and Washington State Parks for helping us make this event possible. It really wouldn't be possible without their help. And to so many of the groups that are here that made this amazing trail, the Palouse to Cascades State Park Trail, a reality. It's my honor to now pass the baton and introduce John Rathbone, RTC's Vice Chair of our board and retired Chief Financial Officer of Norfolk Southern Railroad. John.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz. It's wonderful to be here today to help celebrate the announcement of the Great American Rail Trail. It's a 3,700-mile transcontinental bike trail that starts right here in Washington and goes to Washington, D.C. For 150 years ago, this week, the first transcontinental railroad was completed. It took the sacrifice of thousands of people to build that railroad, and they came from all over the world to work here. Their sacrifice and the sacrifice and hard work of those who followed left us with a great heritage. And it's the mission of the Rails to Trails Conservancy to preserve that heritage, to preserve those rail corridors. Working with railroad companies and using the rail banking statute that's available to us, the Rails to Trails Conservancy has preserved over 23,000 miles of trails in this country. And today, we are taking on our most ambitious project, the Great American Rail Trail. And that trail will be the legacy that we leave for future generations. I thank you, as others have, for your support and guidance and help over the years in making this possible today. And now I'd like to bring to the stage Don Hoch, who's the director of the Washington State Park and Recs Commission.
Thank you, John. What a great day to be your director, and thank you for coming out to your facility in your state park trail. I wanted you to know the commission is very supportive of trails and has made it their priority. In fact, we have several trails, long-distance trails. You may not understand that we have 500 long-distance trails. We have the Willapa Hills Trail, the Columbia Plateau Trail, the Klickitat Trail, the Spokane River Centennial Trail, and of course the gem, our Palouse to Cascades Trail. What a perfect addition to the Great American Rail Trail. We have over 200 miles of trails. We have amazing, breathtaking trestles and bridges, 6 tunnels. I believe we have the longest tunnel in the world, rail trail in the world, over 2.2 miles. You can't beat that on there. So this wouldn't have been possible without all your support, your advocacy. As you know, we're working on plans and designs and getting ready to rehabilitate the Renslow Trestle over I-90. And because of your good work, the governor and the legislature have supported trails across the state, including funding $5 million to the Beverly Bridge. We also received funding to do some work on the Tico Trestle, some surfacing, and for general operations of the trail. So we feel really confident, and this is really a shot in our arm to keep our trails moving forward. So I want to thank you again for coming out. Thank you for your support for trails. You see I've got a cane here, but I still walk and bike, and I even ride on wagons on the trail. So I'm a user also. So thank you. So next, it's my pleasure to introduce Marilyn Hedges, who is the board chair of the Palouse to Cascades Trail Coalition.
Thank you, Director Hoch, for the investment in our state trails. It was only 3 short years ago that a group of volunteers gathered together to found an organization dedicated to the promotion and improvement of the trail we are enjoying today. At that time, it was called the John Wayne Pioneer Trail, and we called ourselves the Friends of the John Wayne Pioneer Trail. But we all had in common an appreciation for the potential of this nearly 300-mile trail across the state of Washington. It highlights the state's diverse landscape, and we have no other trail quite like it in the state. At that time, however, the eastern half of the trail was undeveloped, underfunded, underappreciated, and largely unheard of by the majority of the public. But things have been changing since then. First, the trail received a brand new name, the Palouse to Cascades State Park Trail, and this new name better describes the span of the trail from the scenic rolling agricultural hills of the Palouse region to the evergreen forests of the Cascade Mountains in the west. And accordingly, we changed our name to the Palouse to Cascades Trail Coalition. But what is really great is that since we first started our efforts on behalf of the trail, we are seeing new progress. How great is it that we are getting national attention today as part of something even bigger, the Great American Rail Trail. And the recent icing on the cake is that last month, our state legislature funded a number of important Palouse to Cascades trail projects in the next capital budget. These are exciting times for us. The most important trail project to receive funding, as been alluded to here, is the renovation of the Beverly Bridge. The Beverly Bridge is a spectacular half-mile-long trestle crossing the Columbia River, the mighty river that bisects our state into east and west. With the Beverly Bridge closed for years due to safety concerns, our trail was bisected too, and this posed the trail's most significant and problematic trail gap. A few years ago, state parks conducted a number of public meetings to listen to the public's concerns about the trail, and high on the list of priorities was fixing this bridge. We listened to and agreed, but funding this multi-million-dollar project seemed daunting. We weren't sure even where to start, but we started. We rallied support, we addressed it on our website, in social media. We nominated it for one of Washington's most endangered historic structures where it gained recognition. And along with many others, we wrote letters, made phone calls and videos. We gave presentations, and along with a little help from our friends, coalition members, and others, we got the funding. I want to thank everyone who helped with this and turn this over to the group that we owe the very existence of the trail to, the John Wayne Pioneer Wagons and Riders and Olympian Ranger.
Thanks, Marilyn. Hi, everybody. I'm honored to be here representing the John Wayne Pioneer Wagons and Riders. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving and promoting the Palouse to Cascades Trail, formerly known as the John Wayne Iron Horse Trail. For the past 38 years, the club, primarily made up of horseback riders, and teamsters, have worked to improve the trail by funding and building group campgrounds on state parks, installing hitch rails, mounting blocks, installing kiosks at trailheads, decking trestles, and upgrading gates. But the most recognized thing they do is sponsor an annual 18-day cross-state ride that spans 220 plus miles across Washington State. What an adventure. I was hooked at day one, and I will now be participating in my 3rd consecutive year with a large role as social director, similar to cruise director on a ship. Fun is definitely on the agenda. 2019 marks the 38th annual ride with 150 participants. We sold out, joining us from not only Washington State, but multiple other states, including California, Oregon, Idaho, Ohio, Arizona, and even a few friendly Canadian neighbors dropped down to ride with us. In 2018, I earned my first White Scarf Award, the coveted prize for riding every mile of the trip, which makes for a great challenge. But really what I think is the most fun is the camaraderie and friendships you build along the way, as well as the opportunity to ride, walk, or bike point to point experienced in the state of Washington. This is what I believe brings back the participants year after year after year. I love supporting the small towns and communities that we travel through, giving them an economic boost, and I can only imagine what this could do for so many other communities that fall within this almost 4,000-mile trail once completed. Personally, I feel this will fit well into the growing tourism industry. Think travel companies that specialize in adventures on horseback, in a wagon, or cycling cross-country on the Great American Rail Trail. Who wants to start a new company? I'm fairly certain that when the founders of this club collaborated on creating a ride that crossed the state of Washington, they never could have imagined that we would be here today celebrating that their dream trail would now be the final portion of the Great American Rail Trail. Thank you. Now back to you, Liz.
Thank you so much, Olympia. Thank you so much to all of our great partners and speakers. And now I want to give one last shout out to Washington State. Thank you so much again. We're so happy that you've been here with us today and making the Great American Rail Trail such an amazing possibility. So we're going to do one more cheer. We're going to say, let's go for the Great American Rail Trail, Washington State. 1, 2, 3. Woo!